See, dear students, all of you study in the same standard class, that is the sixth standard, and the strength of your class is 40. There are 40 students in your standard, but are all of you same when you are studying in the same standard? Are all of you same? Okay, fine. Just think that you are same in terms of your standard, that is the sixth standard, whereas at the same time all of you wear the same uniform, all of you daily come to the same school, that is Jyoti Central School, and at the same time all of you have the same teachers to teach you. Okay, that much similarity is there. No doubt, all of you have the same subjects to study. And see, all of these and a few more may be there similarities among yourselves. But all in all, are there the only similarities among all of yourselves? Are there not any differences among yourselves? Why not? There are the differences. There are differences in terms, there are differences or innumerable differences among all of you also. In fact, how many similarities you have among yourselves? No? Simply 1 times more than the similarities, we all have got the differences. It means to that extent, each one of you are different or simply unique from others. Simply unique from others. See, for example, even though all of you have these many or at least a few similarities, what you can see is that at the same time you don't have the same family background. No doubt at all, each one of you come from a very different family background. Each one of you have a different family background, and the area or the location which you stay also is different from each other. And at the same time, the background in which you follow your religion, in terms of your religious background too, each one of you are different from others, and the customs, the traditions and the festivals all of you celebrate also are different from each other. See, that's why, for example, here we all have the children who belong to so many different religions, such as or especially Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, or mostly they might be children belonging to Jainism and a few others too. With this, what we understood, there are the differences. These are the differences among yourselves. Not only that many, but what about the food? What about your food styles? What about the food that you eat each day? Okay. In each one of your houses, you can see that you prepare so many different varieties of the dishes of the food and food that too on everyday basis. But in nobody's house, in the houses of the two children, they prepare the same type of food or the dishes on a single day. So, to that extent, what we understood, there are the differences or the varieties in our food habits also. And what about the ways in which we dress ourselves? Even though you used to wear the same uniform itself, the same dress while coming to the school, but what about the clothes and the dresses that you wear when you are at home? Simply so much of difference is there, so many of varieties are there. And what about your parents? So many, each one of you have got the different types of the parents who also belong to different family backgrounds. And what about the languages you speak? Whether it might be Marathi, Kannada, Hindi, English, Malayalam, Telugu, or whatever, any other language. So, in all these areas and still in many ways, many areas, all of you are simply very much different and unique from each other. And what about the festivals, traditions and the festivals you follow? And what about the caste and the subcaste you belong to? Simply once again, so many of those varieties and the differences you can find. You can find to that extent. And all in all of these differences are the variations among ourselves. These only we may call diversities. That is what diversity. That is what the concept here we are going to understand in the present chapter. Understanding diversity. That too, especially in connection with our proud country, that is India, and being the largest ever democracy in the world. Ours is the only country which seems to have simply innumerable of the diversities. Our country is called the country or the nation of the diversities. Now let us see how it happens in relation with our country, that is diversity in India. See, ours is a country of many diversities, so many diversities. Just now as we saw in connection with your classroom itself. See what related to our country also we can see that there are the people who speak different languages. They speak different languages, have various types of food styles, celebrate different festivals, practice different religions. Not simply one or two, but simply so many different varieties of the customs and the traditions of the festivals we used to celebrate. Simply so many varieties of the languages we people used to belong, we people used to speak. That's all what to call, in a single word, diversity. That is what we call. It means, diversity means in simple terms, the differences or the contrasts that we have among ourselves. But actually, see, this is all about that we, as a part of introduction, we got it to know what diversity is and how our country is filled with diversities. In simple, we understood. Now let us see how to explain diversity. Say, for example, we can see that a little more than 200 years ago, or long before the train, aeroplane, bus or car became a part of our lives, people traveled from one part of the world to another in ships, or on horses, or on camels, or on foot. See, just what happened? Actually, some 100 or 200 or still more, it's just still a few hundred years ago, that too just before we got to invent the car, bus, train, flight, or even ship also. Those people, our so-called forefathers, our ancient people, used to travel from one place to another, using so many varieties of the animals, such as horses, such as those cattle also. They used even elephants too to travel from one place to another place, and even to carry their goods too. They used varieties of animals such as camels, donkeys, and even for their own traveling also they used these such animals. But why? Because in those earlier times there were no buses, no cars, no trains, no flights, not even ships also. It was so much long ago. Okay, it means in terms of that also we could see the diversities in country. And if they were not able to use any of these animals as their vehicles, most of the times those forefathers used to travel on their foot itself, that too many kilometers together. They used to travel on their foot itself. Then what happened afterwards? Often they went in search of new lands or new places to settle in, or for people to trade with. And because it took so long to travel, once they got to a place, people stayed there, often for a long time. Many others left their homes because there were famines and drought, and they could not get enough to eat. Some went in search of work, while others left because there was a war. So much long ago too, what happened was that just like today, even those people too traveled from one place to another, but in search of, they too traveled place to place in search of new lands or new places to settle themselves, to settle in, or even for their trade purposes. They went on traveling. So accordingly, as soon as when they started settling in those so many different places or the locations, naturally they used to have so many varieties of the different types of the lifestyles, and even the food styles also they had to get adopted to. Okay, and so with that what we can see is that from then itself, those people of our country from long ago itself started finding the differences or the diversities among themselves. Diversity is not simply the matter of just today or yesterday in our country, but it's simply the matter of so many centuries ago. Okay, thank you.